Hi friends, it's your pal Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about specifically the Dungeons and Dragons and the gap that is now happening in at the movie theaters because of superhero fatigue. So this is a huge year for superhero movies. We got Thunderbolts, we got Fantastic Four, and the most important one by far was Superman, James Gunn's Superman. So the movie theaters have been massively lagging. There's now renewed discussion of if movies are dead, like if there's just not going to be enough for people to go see, and if like movie theaters are like arcades, right? Like arcades, in the 80s there was an arcade, there sometimes were two arcades, in a mall, right? And now, and arcades were in every town, right? Now the malls aren't even open, right? Let alone those arcades. So what they're talking about is, uh, are movie theaters going to become a novelty, right? And yesterday, Grace Randolph brought forward some information that suggested we are in a lot of trouble, right? So one, just so you're aware, this year there have been three major superhero films, and none of them even did $750 million, and all of them were literally outpaced by Brad Pitt's F1 movie made by Apple. And Apple usually can't even make a movie that makes hundreds of millions of dollars, right? None of these movies can make over $650 million, right? It's really, really bad. Like, we're in a different space now, where we're just like, yeah, hey, this is something new, and the movies are genuinely in a lot of trouble. Like, and so what I'm curious of is, I want to talk about why this is happening, and I want to ask the question: is this gap large enough to be exploited by Dungeons and Dragons, to be leveraged by Dungeons and Dragons, to be leveraged by Dungeons and Dragons? Okay. So first of all, Grace said something really, really interesting that I thought was really fascinating, which was, um, she said what she thinks is what we're starting to get a picture of. She hasn't confirmed it yet, but so this is just speculation at this point. Is that what's happening at the movies is right now we're at about like 2/3 of where we should be, right? And generally, since we're getting better at making entertainment, it should be going up, right? But it's not, right? So what she said is that more people, that there's now a thought within the movie coverage industry, within the movie coverage activity sphere, that more that less people are going more often. So movies are not doing so poorly that they're willing to shut them down yet, but they are really in a space of concern, right? As far as just people going and viewing them. So basically, where we land right now, is that we finally got to a point where people are saying it's probably this subscriber thing, right? Because if you do not have a movie subscription, it is outrageously expensive to go to the movies. If you have a movie subscription, you're paying $25 a month, and you can go as much as you want, right? And there are more and more and more. And I am absolutely one of these people. I'm seeing no less than three movies a year, and I'm sorry, no less than three movies per month. And I am definitely getting in a position where I'm seeing about uh, seven movies per month. Is not that unusual, right? It's just and that's a lot. That's a lot. And increasingly, there's a suspicion that this is the case, right? Who's paying 18, 20, $25 a movie? That's outrageous, right? But $25, you can see as much as you want. You don't even see the bill, right? Like, it just, it auto comes out. It's nothing, right? Like, it makes a lot of sense. So I think that's where we are. We are going to a point where we're in this transition from a payment perspective, right? So I think that's what's happening. The other thing is that superhero fatigue is without a doubt real. Nobody cares. There is not an interest in superhero movies, and I think the reason why is both Marvel and DC blew it. Like James Gunn was a very real hope, and what should have happened is day one, he's like, hey, I'm going to make the hard choice. Everything's wiped. We're going to recast from the beginning. It's going to be all new stories. But instead, like, Superman, James Gunn's Superman, I don't even know what its, extra name was. What happened? Oh, hey everybody, here's Superman and the Justice Gang. The Justice Gang? What the heck is that? Oh, that's Hawkgirl and Mr. Terrific and Green Lantern. Well, where's everybody else? Well, we're not gonna talk about that. Well, why not? And everybody's like, you could have answered all these questions. You had the power, right? Like, and is all of this because you wanted Peacemaker to be a stable show? Yeah. So, is this gap large enough for Dungeons and Dragons to take advantage of? I think the answer is yes. I think we are literally, and so one thing I would suggest is immediately starting to use Dungeons and Dragons to run Marvel stories and DC stories. Well, what the heck, Scott? There's already a Marvel comic. There's already a Marvel RPG out there. Correct. But it's hard enough getting people to the table, right? We know nothing puts butts in seats like Dungeons and Dragons. Absolutely nothing, all right? Marvel Multiverse role-playing game was like, I think it was like 14th on the list of the most popular for 2025. You might have been able to fill, I think it was maybe 150 events, right? Whereas 1,300 events for Dungeons and Dragons. So I think we should begin just saying, hey, I'm running a Marvel game with Dungeons and Dragons. I'm running a DC game with Dungeons and Dragons. Well, Scott, wouldn't that be difficult? No, absolutely not. Actually, it'd be super easy, and the reason why is, one, we've been running lots of different intellectual properties with Dungeons and Dragons for years, and then in addition to that, what actually is an invitation to do it is both Marvel and DC have made miniatures that are perfectly scaled to Dungeons and Dragons scale because of the Lego Dungeons and Dragons Red Dragon's Tale set, right? All of the Lego Marvel minifigs and all of the Lego DC minifigs are at perfect scale with the Lego Dungeons and Dragons figures. Done and done. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing and have a fetch millennium.